Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Coming to you almost live from the Northern Bloodlands in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, it's the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 156. It is January 7th, 2024, in case you weren't aware of the year change. And I'm your host, Bill. No, really, I am a king. Costello with me?
All the way from the pits underneath the charnel throne, it's Joshua 4 Itchy Tasty Alt.
You know that charnel throne is, I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
You don't want to be from under it.
You know, sometimes you crawl out from underneath and everything's just fine. I threw a little Resident Evil reference in there with the 4 Itchy Tasty for those who played the original game.
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking Flesh Eater Courts today.
Oh, no.
I know it's long awaited. The holidays were brutal. Work-wise, family-wise, everything was just so busy.
Damned flu-wise. So just, I will shoulder the brunt of this, but I got the flu the actual morning before the store's Christmas party. So I actually, showed up the day before to the store to make sure I was still going to be doing the cosplay that I was going to do at the store for the event. And then that morning I woke up and I'm like, there's no way I'm getting anywhere near people because this is just brutal. And then, all through I got the flu really, really bad. I actually spent one night in the hospital. And then, of course, I passed it to the wife because that's what you do.
Yeah, of course.
And then she had it. So we're supposed to go over to Slice and Dice on New Year's Day to, do informal gaming and just fun while they're closed. And we were like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Just no way we can do that. So that whole 2.5 week period that she had vacation was ruined. So, yeah. And then leading up to that, it was nuts. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But in the interim, in our defense, we did record an After Dark episode, a long one, actually.
Oh, really long one.
Yeah. And we were going to put it out as everybody gets this. And so generally the workflow here is we record the show. I take the little memory card out of the Rodecaster Pro, bring it in the other room, copy it all to the hard drive, bring it back, plug the card back in, put everything away. After that, After Dark, I noticed that the card was almost full. So I was like, okay, format it. Let's get ready to go. New one. The very next morning, I go to my computer. I hit it, and it's like taking forever to just get rid of the sleep screen. And I'm like, what in the... And then the message pops up that primary hard drive failed. It's working off of the backup. And I'm like, oh, my God. So... use the old diagnostics there, figured out that it was an electronics issue, not the platter seemed okay. The electronics were suspect at best. So I literally had to ship that drive out and I have not gotten it back yet. I knew I wouldn't. It'd take 6 weeks to recover the actual drives, but $450 to recover that hard drive.
Oh my God.
But it has not only the episode of the podcast on it, but it has some other things I was working on personally, and it had a couple of projects that I was working on, so I wanted it back. It just pissed me off.
So then that After Dark may show up sometime in the next 2-3 months?
It's going to be funny because I'm not sure how evergreen it is.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think it will survive.
Yeah.
So we'll see. If it's really, who knows? We'll play it by ear.
Hey, and if you just go back and listen to our stuff in sort of like a retrospective type of way, then it would probably fit. So should be fine.
It will. It will. So in other big news, because of the paucity of content coming out for Sigmar and the fact that the next 2.5 months are going to be absolutely brutal, at least for me with work, we're going to take the show and put it on hiatus for a couple of months. We'll pop in and maybe, do a quick recording if something drops that's really cool or what have you. But honestly, we're probably going to wait until we either get the next of the lore books or the edition drops, whichever. Well, obviously, what's his name? the hunt will continue before the edition drops.
Certainly.
So just so you know, gonna turn off the Patreon collecting every month until we start back up officially again with the new edition. But it's just there's so little coming out right now, and what is coming out is kind of you can tell they're getting ready for a new edition.
Yeah.
It's the effort's just not 100%. So
yeah, we'll talk about that in the Flesh Eater Court's Path to Glory for sure.
yeah, nothing wrong with the book, mind you. It's just the Path to Glory might have I don't know. They could have taken another half hour and tripled it. But anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, so expect us to pop in every now and then. In the interim, Bill and I will be looking at potential future other content that we could use. Actually try and get some Games of Conquest in, see how that works out for us.
Get scared about YouTube.
Yeah. I ain't scared.
I am. I'm terrified, but okay, sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be, we'll be here in and out, so you'll still be able to hear our voices. All of our old episodes are still out there. So please feel free to check in on the Discord and such, and we'll be giving you content as it becomes available. So, yeah, I mean, any other announcements, Bill?
No, other than I hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Other than that, I think we should, I don't want to call it New Dawn, but let's slide into some highlighted products from the last month that we missed.
Okay, sounds good.
I know I said I wasn't going to call it New Dawn, but damn it, here it is, New Dawn. The stuff that came out. So Epic came out.
Yeah.
With a whimper?
It was interesting because it was sort of like a quiet seller. Like at least locally, it kept selling out.
Yeah.
Can't keep in stock.
Yep.
Right. People are just eating it up.
Yeah.
And it just can't get to the store fast enough.
I mean, an hour after it was up, you couldn't get the terrain anymore.
Nope.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Right.
So I thought I found myself lucky getting a box.
Yeah.
Because I waited.
Yep.
And I originally was not gonna buy in, and then I said, why not? What the hell?
Yeah.
And boy, glad I did, because you pay hell finding anything now. And I mean, you knew the Thunderhawks were gonna go.
Oh yeah.
In an instant, and all of the Imperialis stuff. Aeronautica Imperialis stuff went really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a lot of movement on some of the bigger knights, but again, you're trying to get people to jump into that Adeptus Titanicus idea, and not everybody wants to play that big game.
True. True. But yeah, all the stuff that kind of been sitting around for a while, like when was the last time we talked about Aeronautica? Like it came out, it was cool. They had the Double Eagle book that was pretty awesome, and then it was just kind of, niche part of the hobby. And then Imperialis drops, and then you can't find any of it anymore.
Right. It was just so weird because Aeronautica Imperialis is so much fun once you get past that first dogfight mission. Because that dogfight mission, I think, is probably one of the things that holds that game back from being good. Is they demo that dogfight mission.
Yeah.
Which is, of the missions, the most boring. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna go and shoot you down.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's literally whoever rolls better wins.
Yep.
Whereas if you just go to the very next mission, it's like, oh, this is where this game gets really fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And to me, it's, I don't know. I don't know how well it's selling. It's always selling out, so it's probably pretty good. But you don't see a lot of coverage.
No.
I'm verklempt. I don't know what to think. So,
but I think I'm thinking back now, Bill, and we were talking about a lot of the Aeronautica stuff before, sort of in conjunction with Titanicus. I think you're pretty much of the opinion that this was going to eventually drop, right? Just based off those two things, I recall you having that conversation with me at one point.
Oh yeah,
and then it did, and now everything's selling.
Yep.
But again, it's quiet. It's sort of similar to Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
Like Horus Heresy kind of had like, hey guys, it's coming. Everyone was like super hyped. All this new stuff's coming out, and it's still selling constantly.
And it's when the new stuff comes out, it sells out, and you're just like, who's buying all this stuff? Obviously, it's not the people that hang out at the store. So, and that's hey, that's fine. They're making the big bucks off of it. So life is good. And I like to see lines like that get continued. You know, you always worry about Warcry and Kill Team, not so much, because there's a big effort behind those games.
Mm-hmm.
It's these littler ones that worry me. And is that a good segue into the old world?
Yeah, I mean, little in the sense that it's sort of a box game. It's the Age of Sigmar's Horus Heresy, so to speak. And
Yeah.
it's
out there.
It is.
It sold like gangbusters.
Oh yeah.
It's expensive.
That price point is something else. Yeah, so like we were kind of starting to talk about this before we started recording, but like I'm of the opinion that Horus Heresy dropped. It was a $300 box. You got a great number of minis, and you know with how Horus Heresy works,
Right.
it's any legion,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You can even make a 2-player game out of that,
easy.
right?
Yeah, easy.
But with the boxes that dropped for the armies for Old World, yeah, it's not the same thing.
No.
It's certainly not Horus Heresy. It is before the end time, so you have very distinct armies.
Yes.
And you do get a fair number of miniatures. I think the price point American US dollars is $290 for the Tomb Kings, but it's like 90 something minis or something like that. It's a lot of plastic, resin, and metal.
Sure. Yeah, I mean you're and 2 whippy sticks, so you can't really go wrong because you're getting the rule book and all the stuffs.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously for a new game, the price point to get into it is going to be high if there's a GW name attached to it.
Yes.
Because they like to hit you up front fast and let you know that your life is going to suck for the next 6 months as
Yes.
you buy into this stuff. But
Yes.
But damn, I mean, just the quickness that it went basically unavailable, it sold out. I'm not sure if it's because of the numbers they made or if it's that there was that much demand. You know, the grognards that got angry about the old world and the blowing it up left the GW sphere. They went elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was enough to bring them back. There's a lot of people that stuck with AOS, still have a soft spot for the old world, and we're really into the idea of getting all this stuff together.
Yeah.
And that's great, but I don't see it as a release that's going to rekindle the desire for all those kits. And my personal fear is that they're going to have this big initial release and a wave of releases are going to follow, and that's going to be that.
Yeah, I mean, we could hope just because it could bring about, again, like new sculpts and things like that. There's some beautiful models that have come out of this, you know, like the lady on the unicorn or
Oh,
the
if you play Cities of
sorceress.
Sigmar, that box is like, that's the rest of your army.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Exactly.
So,
You want to get a full Cities of Sigmar army for what, it was like $270 or something?
yeah.
You know, just pick up that box and have at. The benefits of this game, I should say, you know, they didn't just re-release the old world as it was,
No.
where you need to carry around, you know, a Necromunda's library worth of tomes to play it. But like the Middle Earth guys, you know, jumped in and worked on the rules, right?
Yes.
So it's updated, definitely more streamlined. I watched one battle report on Tabletop Tactics, which I was surprised that they were actually, you know, going to be diving into the old world. And it's fairly smooth.
Yeah.
It's got funky little dynamic stuff like you'd expect, like your cannonballs bouncing when you fire them and, you know, stuff like that.
It's got some of the very problematic 8th edition rules that the whole idea was to streamline the game and to make believe the end times never happened. And yet they kept some of the most problematic, dumb rules from the game that literally make it unplayable at larger levels.
Yeah.
So sad, but true.
You know, the people clamored for it. I mean, the queues were over an hour.
Yeah.
You know, trying to get on to buy it. So there is a strong initial sell. Will that carry it? We shall see.
I hope so. I
do too.
I like to see the people that looked forward to it get the payoff.
Yeah.
And get what they want out of it. I hate to see, you know, a game that drops and then the support isn't what they figured, and so it falls out of favor real quick. Hate that.
Yeah.
Because obviously somebody was really pumped to get that.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, just from the sheer volume of sales, it's got to be some of the people at GW have to be scratching their head going, was the end times really the thing to do, or should we have really doubled down and, redone the lines the way we did for AOS in that motif? And, should we be looking at 9th, 10th, 11th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battles? Who knows?
Yeah, I love AOS. I think it was such a good game. It got me into hobbying generally, right? I used to only play like competitive card games before. So this really sucked me in. And I think the systems are great. I mean, for the most part, as it has growing pains as all systems do, as they go through editions. But it's really interesting because of Sigmar, there's a cap, right? On Old World. It is literally the end times. It is done. And so it's like Heresy in the sense that you're playing kind of historical battles.
History, and that's great. That leaves them with so many things to do, and they can explore so much without ever having to impact the main line.
Yeah,
I love it. I hope it does well. Ooh, I just frightens me. It's so many levels, because maintaining all these got to be hellish for them.
Yeah,
got to be. There's a finite number of hours in the day and a finite number of people that could be doing all this. The Middle Earth guys are writing the rules. Thank God it wasn't the AOS people.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We'd still be trying to figure out how magic worked in the old world if
right.
the AOS guys did it. But, it's I'm hoping that it really does find its niche and it stays in the lineup for years to come to give people that ability and that itch to scratch.
As long as they keep the Hobbit guys on it, I think it's going to keep working towards being more successful because I think Middle Earth has one of the cleanest rule sets of any of the games that GW produces.
It's still one of the top rated rule systems of all miniatures games out there.
Yeah.
When you look at some of those independent rankings, which are question the independence, but anyway, it's a completely slick rule set, beautiful, well executed, and those guys know what it takes to make a fun game. Some of the stuff they left in, like the second rank stuff, come on, guys, that's such a 70s mechanic, really. But anyway, we're getting into the weeds, so.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a huge nostalgia hit for some. Others who just generally liked Rank and Flank, but also love GW, they get the chance to actually dive in and play it. I will say though, one of the things, looking at what you want out of a game and how is already sort of etched out, right? Even the titles of the maps and stuff. These are historical events, in the Mortal Realms. I've just gotta sell it again. Conquest is completely open in terms of how the story progresses. It's a rank and flank that has a side game, a skirmish game where you get to take your models off the square bases and play something completely different. And it's a different rule set. I think it's a cleaner rule set.
Far cleaner.
It's got levels of tactics to it. It is such a beautiful game.
Okay, so you can stop with I go, you go. It's just not one. It's the death knell to me of all GW games is this idea of everyone takes a turn and the other guy just sits around. Now, they've done their best to make it a little more interactive, but until they come up with a methodology of doing I go, you go in the middle of a turn, you're going to have these issues. You're going to have problems. Everyone else with a brain has gone away from that system.
Yeah.
You have maintained it because, this is how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is what makes us GW. It is.
Thanks, Mr. Epstein. How well did that work for you?
Oh, yeah. Not to mention some 900-some pages of documents that dropped this week. Anyway.
And name dropping. Okay, anyway, let's move on.
Some names are redacted.
Prince what? No, it's redacted. Oh, okay. Let me see. William Jefferson, redacted. Oh, okay. Yeah. Fine.
God, maybe I should have done that as my intro. Joshua, not found in the Epstein papers. All
we posted it. I'm not Jimmy Kimmel. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that's been pretty much the two biggest releases. There have been some really nice models that have come out in the last couple of months. I mean, just over the top. Holy crap, cool.
Yeah.
They boggle my mind sometimes with their ability to just capture new facets of something you already know.
Yes.
Oh, God, just brilliant, guys. Yeah, you GW guys. As much as I hate you, I do love you. Okay. I don't hate you. I just question some of your decisions. But quite literally, in terms of really awesome models, did you want to talk about any battles or hobby that you've done?
Yeah.
You freaking cranked out some hobby. So lay it on us.
All right. So as I described before, I think I can't even remember what I did. It's been a year since I've talked to you guys, right?
Wow.
Oh,
Stormcaster, cool.
So yeah, I mean, I remember I did talk about how I, fully painted that 1,000 point Old Dominion army. In fact, a little update on that. I did enter some of those into a painting contest. Well, I didn't place on the initial contest. As part of it, there was a raffle, and I won the raffle. So I got $40 to the Parabellum site.
Nice.
I need to spend here in the next month, I think.
That's gonna be hell.
I know, right? Well, the question for me is like, well, do I get some things to? Well, let me talk about another part of the hobby that I did. So I got some money for Christmas, and I was like, what do I do here? Do I fill out my Old Dominion army? Dear God, I'm tired of Legionnaires. I don't want to put together more Legionnaires, but I have to put together more Legionnaires because, like, you need. Everyone's joking, like, oh yeah, mainstay of the whole army. You just never have too many Legionnaires. I can. Yes. I can not want to build anymore, or paint them. I have one box that I need to get done so I can have my third warband part. I'll need probably 3 more boxes of those.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's mind-numbing how many of those you need. Or do I get a freaking T-Rex?
Let me check.
Yeah.
Yeah, T-Rex.
It was the T-Rex.
Yeah.
I got the T-Rex and the Apex Queen to ride. I'm not starting Wadroon, but in the First Blood, the skirmish game, right, which is supposed to be like your smaller combat type stuff, right? You can take a freaking T-Rex.
T-Rex, yes.
So I guess that was the right play. So I got her.
You've heard of the 12-step programs, right?
Yes.
You know what the first step is, right? You have to admit you have a problem.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, then I got 3 boxes of Raptor Riders, built, primed all those. That Apex Predator goes together like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
The plastic that Parabellum's starting to put out is next level.
Yeah.
It is next level. I cannot recommend this game enough. And then certainly Bill will talk a little bit about some of his new stuff and his hobby part. We have the Necromunda campaign starting back up, so I had to get a little campfire.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got that painted up as of last night. And then
good.
I've built almost all of my Flesh Eater Quartz box.
Nice.
I took a little break from that. I was doing a bunch of holiday stuff with the family, so helping the folks and stuff. So I didn't really sit down and do a terrible amount of the hobby on that regard. But I only have 1 unit of Crypt Guard left to build. Is that what they're called? Yeah, Crypt Guard. That's just 10 more models. I'll have that whole thing done. That is my not so new army new year, right? This is just a chance for me with this new release to really break out my Candy King theme.
I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So good.
It's going to be
so good.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And this is going to be the year where I really actually do, because I still have, Krondus / Karazai in a box still, waiting to model that for one of my dragons.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So certainly that will be coming out this year. Later on, I need to get this box done first for like the hobby goals that the store has.
Yeah.
So it'll be pretty simple. I already know my paint scheme, so it's just a matter of applying.
Sure.
It'll be fun. In terms of battles, I haven't really put too many minis on the table during the time that we've been away. What I have been doing is playing a lot of Marvel Strike Force.
Oh, no.
Yeah. You know why?
Oh, because Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I've told everyone anytime Nightcrawler comes out in a game, I'm showing up.
You're there. Yes.
Yeah. So he came out. He's amazing. He's beautiful. He's everything that I wanted him to be.
And you've got him up to how many?
I didn't spend that much money.
Okay.
Because you need to in the game they have terms for it. Like people who spend money, like a lot of money, are called whales, right? Because they just throw money out. Those who are like who spend exorbitant amounts of money on it are called krakens, right?
Okay.
Because they just like a whale is somebody who throws like I'm going to say like $250 to $500 a month.
Oh my God.
At that game.
Oh my God.
Krakens are more than that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's absurd what people will spend to get to the max level, to be top ranked. It's insane.
I spent $25 on Final Fantasy and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a loser.
Right?
Oh Lord.
Yeah. People will drop serious cash.
Damn.
I was like $30 for my favorite character. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Any other stars I need to get for him, I'll just do it when he shows up for free later on. But he's on a team with Gambit, Cyclops, Forge, and Sunspot.
Nice.
For the they're the Extreme X-Men. Ooh. So it's the newer iteration of Nightcrawler, the younger one with the fun little like kind of pompadour.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't have his sword, so he's not Excalibur.
Right.
But been playing a lot of that. When I logged back in after 2 years, I think it was. The amount of resources that I had like banked and stuff like that. I mean, I was just like shooting characters up through the roof.
Sure.
I think in terms of like power, because it increments as you add gear and stuff like that, I went from like 9 million to 11 million in like a week.
Jesus.
Without spending anything other than buying Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
So it was those are the battles I've been playing, and we have a little group locally that has an alliance, so playing with them. But
nice.
That was about it. I did survive my trial hell in December, and I've got one in a week, and then one in February.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a good thing we're kind of doing a little bit of hiatus stuff because work's going to be insanity for me.
Sure, I can imagine.
How about you, Bill?
As far as my hobby goes, okay, so let's see. For Conquest, the Vargar Lord and his werewolf band came out, so those got built and primed right away. The female Jarl came out, built and primed right away. I started to refine the troll paint scheme a little bit, and I've been working with this lady online since I can't use one of my fingers. She's been working with me on how to actually get around that. How to actually sort of take some of the old motor skills that you had for painting, not that I've ever been like some great painter or anything, but how to translate that into different motor skills that I have to use now. Yeah. And so it's actually been a lot of fun. It's she's worked with me over the video over Zoom a little bit, maybe an hour here, an hour there. And, one of her big suggestions was get rid of all your high-end brushes that you've always loved because they're too small. Yeah. And you need something with a much bigger handle now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I started working with some bigger brushes, still Kolinsky Sable, but not Winsor Newton. And for what I'm doing, they're just fine. Beautiful. And they're a lot more comfortable in the hand. So I've been refining the troll scheme. I have to work on the ogre now because the ogres are so cool. Yeah, they are. God, they're good. They're going to be so much fun. Yep. But to me, the piece de resistance, or whatever, you could do it French if you want, is going to be those werewolves. I can't wait. I actually I primed those in the Monument Black Brown so that I can really play up that fur color. That'll be the nice bottom shade once I do the slap chop on them and get the dry brush done. Yeah. Because I can dry brush like a fiend. Oh, it's easy. Yeah. So, I'm really looking forward to working on those guys as well as the Varg Lord and the Lady Jarl because, man, she is just, that sculpt is, so over the top. She's beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. They really, really hit it with her. And let's see. I built the Bellthorns Beat Phasers. I forgot what they're called. I built that box because that is a Sylvaneth army that I want to dive into. Heck yeah. They just, the play style there is going to be so different. Looking forward to that one. And I am so distraught because I dropped my box of Daughters of Cain. And you know how spindly they are. Oh, no. And yes,
no,
luckily, these were not the painted ones that we play with. These were the ones I was getting ready to do in a whole different new scheme.
Uh-huh.
And I saw it on Reddit, and I don't remember how long ago it was, but it's really it's such a different scheme where they have like a turquoise green skin, and then it's black and gold for the armor. They look really striking, and I wanted to try it. And I managed to drop the box. So next up is gluing all those back together. I mean, I cannot believe how it's not like I dropped them off the roof of the house. They literally fell 3 feet, and wow, most of them are broken.
Oh God.
I'm just like, wow, what the, but you know, these are the things, just glue them back together and move along. So those are the armies that I want to get done.
Yeah.
Done. Get my Nords done, build up the city states, because they're so cool.
They are so freaking cool. And you got your companion cavalry coming out soon. Cavalry, sorry.
Oh, I cannot wait. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, everything is just looking, to me, I don't know, between Sigmar and Conquest, there's just so much cool stuff on the horizon.
Yep.
Anyway, but that's what I've done. Battle-wise, we played a silly one-off game. It was like a Krampus versus St. Nicholas game.
Oh, God.
We were just making up rules as we went along.
Yes.
Using Stormcast and Daughters, or no, it was Stormcast against Stormcast. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just literally just having crazy amounts of fun. And we were moving this objective around the board absolutely randomly, just haphazardly, using an old scatter die and 2d6 just to make it silly.
That's so great.
Yeah, we had a blast with that one. As units would die, they would come back on the board edge. So, you know, we played until we ran out of time and just had fun. So, yeah, fun. Good times.
Make sure you join us tonight for the news at 11.
As the nice lady just said, oh, the depression hits. So the Sunday preview title is The Siege of Terra Reaches Its Climax. And then they go on and show you that what's up for pre-order is going to be Trug the Troggoth King in his own pack, Ionis Cryptborn in his own pack, Belthanos in his own pack, so you don't have to buy the big boxes. You can get those 3 models individually. And
if you are a big fan of any type of chaplain riding a dragon for some reason in 40K, you can get Ionis without having to buy 2 other dragon doors.
That's right. So, yeah, it makes your chapter chaplain much cheaper.
Oh yeah,
because by God, that's what you do.
Right.
For Blood Bowl, you got Skitter Stab as a model coming out, and Grashnak Black Hoof. And then the Piece de Resistance, I think I used that once already this show, so ignore that. The End of the Death, Volume 3, don't even expect to get it, because the queues are going to be 18 miles long, and yeah, it'll be sold out by the time you get to it. So, yeah, there you go. Signed by Dan Abnett, the whole 9 yards. And at the same time, they're going to release The End of the Death, Volume 3, paperback. Yay. Or is that a hardback?
I think that's hardback, ebook, and audiobook.
Oh, wow. They're going to do all 3 of them at once. Very nice. And a Siege of Terra bookmark. So that's a $30 bookmark right there. Yeah.
You know it's going to be more.
You think? 35?
Yeah.
I thought they
40.
were usually came in around 30.
Oh, usually, but this is...
Oh, that's true. It's the end of the... Yeah, it's our last chance to squeeze money, because we can't have The End of the Death Part 4.
Yeah.
They pretty much shut that door. So, okay, whatever.
Right, when it was going to be 1 book. Like, actually, it's going to be 2 guys.
Yeah, it's going to be 2.
Just kidding,
it's
it's 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warhammer Plus subscribers, if you are still subscribed, you're going to get, looks like a 40K battle report. We're going to have Scarbrand versus Shalaxi.
Yeah, Arena of Death.
Lore Masters for Usharon himself. I'll probably be listening to that one.
Oh, yeah, got to hear that one.
And then painting Ghoulish Skin. So I was going to say it's a kind of a small pre-order week, but that book is going to just drive. It's going to basically ruin the release of the 3 models. Yeah,
because
the queue system's going to be insane.
The queue is going to be there, and you're not going to get on there for an hour and a half. Yeah. And then when you get there, depends on whether or not everybody picked over the stuff.
Yeah.
So who knows? But anyway, that's what's coming up next weekend.
And now for something completely different.
But we should probably dive into the meat of it.
Well, I'm a little hungry for this book. Oh God, yes. So, flesh eater courts.
Aren't they though?
Yeah.
I gotta say, one of the things I hardly ever really dive into the lore in a battle tome. This one was so freaking good that I almost read the whole book just because the story of Usharan is so good. It's so well done. And if you remember, from back in the old world, it was a tragic sort of weird story.
Yeah.
And then it flip-flopped between what Nagash did to him, whether it was a curse, whether it was a boon. And this book just goes, here's the deal. So take it away, Josh.
Yeah. So in this, you have to think about, we've talked about flesh eater courts ad nauseum before in terms of what it is. It's the delusion. It's even getting close to a court, right? Particularly if you get close to an aberrant, let alone a courtier, you just start to change. You start to see things differently. And if you're with a group of people, what you all see is different because the delusion is so powerful it takes hold, right?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you find this nice little like cooked turkey and you take a little bite of the leg, and next thing you know, you're amongst other knights and serfs in, honorable service to the king. But this book plays on perception.
Oh yeah.
In a pretty cool way. And just really go listen to Doug with his lore breakdowns to get into the nitty-gritty on it. My favorite part of the lore is the sort of, I'm not going to say retelling, but the suggestion that what happened to Usharan is up to interpretation.
Big time. And I love how they're not going to sit there and put a pin in, this is what happened.
Yeah.
They're more like, there's two versions of this story. Pick one.
Yeah.
And I love that. So well done. Ugh.
And even the original one was never really fleshed out until this book, right? Which, before was sort of, Usharan did something, Nagash didn't like it, so he locked him away and he went crazy.
Right.
But they actually fleshed that out a little bit in terms of what that concept was, is that because of a slight against Nagash, this, Usharan, who is beautiful and is most beloved and, honored of his Mortarks, was like such a big slight that he locked him away because, Nagash tortures after death.
Sure.
Locks him away in this chamber where it has just mirrors everywhere, and his like consciousness fractures and he goes insane until, Sigmar and his posse just like run through and break it open accidentally and unleash this monster on everyone. The alternative facts, right, are that there was some sort of calamity or something brewing at the end of the realm, right, on the edge of the realm. Yeah. And so Usharan, being the champion of Nagash, right, his most beloved, says, I will take care of this.
Yeah.
And so he goes with his cohort, but eventually, as you get closer to the edge of the realm, the magics are too powerful. Only Usharan himself could keep going.
Yep.
And then he came back.
Poor dude.
Feral.
Just a
mad.
little. Yeah.
Ripping people apart, destroying things. They never say what happened at the edge of the realm. Just something that drove this regal Mortark, who was essentially beloved by all.
Yeah.
In Shaiish, take him and drive him into just this monstrous thing, and no one could like seem to quell him. So Nagash locked him away. Yeah. In the shroud cage with all the mirrors, but it wasn't to fracture his consciousness. It was to reconstitute it. Yeah. And that's the alternative. And then Sigmar comes through and breaks open the shroud cage.
Right. Yeah. We pick up where we left off, but I just love those two different, so you can have it your way. And just, that's going to be a theme throughout this whole book, is you can have it your way. Yeah. I love it. Oh, so good.
Yeah. And then, they branch out and you give a lot more detail about a little bit about what Usharan's been doing, right? He's in Gairan, right? He's been trapped by Nagash, right, so to speak, so he doesn't just go out and cause chaos, right? Neferata is, doing Neferata things, manipulating everyone she can by getting these, like, trusted people to get close enough to Usharan to take some of his blood, right? And she's doing this consistently. Yeah. And then she has it, like, sort of marketed as this, like, super like refined tincture that goes to the nobility of these cities of Sigmar, and You know what? Had a quasi debate about this earlier on. Yeah, yes, Neferata is very manipulative, but this is very chaos culty, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's so subtle, and they're trying to sow discord, throughout. I mean, she's peddling more to nobility, right, which doesn't generally happen with the chaos culty stuff. They usually go lower.
Sure.
But this is the first time we've really seen Death do very culty, subtle tactics.
And if you ask me, it lays the groundwork for future Neferata becoming just this horrendous. The power vacuum that's been left with Nagash's beatdown at the hands of Teclis has just opened up so many possibilities. The very basis of this book is the fact that with Nagash basically being out of the picture as he reconstitutes himself, the Mortarchs are allowed to explore their own idiosyncrasies, and that includes the Carrion King. And I just, the whole intertwining of Neferata into this is just such a breath of fresh air.
Yep.
It's in a world of stinky deathness, it's really nice to have these machinations going on.
Yeah.
That are internal to Death, not somebody doing something to the Death faction, but them having issues like all the other factions have.
Yeah.
Love it. Just love it.
Yeah, I mean, a major issue go back and listen to all of our lore talks is like Death seems like they can kind of win at some points, then they just start taking L's. Like,
yeah,
Death is constantly not quite winning. Like they get to the brink and then I don't know, they get laser beamed off a mountain or something. Right.
It's does it come down to leadership? Is it that? Are they going to be able to expand now that the Mortarchs have a little bit more free reign?
Yeah.
And you saw that a little bit with Ossiarch Bone Reapers.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing it a lot more with Flesh Eater Courts. And you saw it, well, of course, with Soulblight. That book was devoted to the fact that we can do stuff now that Nagash isn't on our butt all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives Flesh Eater Courts, for lack of a better word, identity. Mm-hmm. Each of the four grand courts, I think, are really well etched out.
Oh, God.
Taking it from what they were before, because Morgaunt, all I thought was ghouls. And then Hollowmorn was like, okay, I guess, my knights, right?
Yeah.
Blisterskin, I thought more of Crypt Flayers, and those were just hyper fast,
Sure.
And Gristlegore, of course, is the monsters.
Beefy monsters.
But then you get ideas now of what those courts actually entail.
Yeah.
Morgaunt, gallantry, chivalry, all that kind of stuff. Hollowmorn, sworn knightly duty. Blisterskin is actually like zealous and religious, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing they actually brought in this book. The first
God.
priest that Death has ever seen.
Thank you.
Right?
Good Lord, thank you.
But Blisterskin is zealot, like religious zeal.
Yeah.
And Gristlegore's monsters. But
one of the biggest things in this book is between the four courts, this book has a very limited number of war scrolls.
yes.
The line is not huge. You have 4 completely different ways to play this army with the same units.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, you have to go back in time and buy a whole bunch of, no. With what is available now, you have 4 completely different ways to play.
Yep.
Based on what you pick. And that, thank you.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and I'll kind of, when we get more to the rules, I'll kind of throw my 2 cents in on what's going to be played a lot. But they really didn't expand the line too much. I mean, the new models, we've got Usharan himself.
Yeah. Which is bonkers good.
Oh my God, that model is insane. It's huge based off of just the dimensions they show in comparison. Holy cow.
Yeah.
You've got your Gore Warden, you've got your Crypt Guard, you've got the Morbeg Knights, the Royal Decapitator, and the only resculpt was the Vargulf Courtier.
Yeah, which was so... I do want to say one thing. This book, from page 44 all the way through 49, is all about painting the different... And, with the death of Warhammer TV, I'm sorry, it's flipping dead. But this is a really good... It gives you some really good ideas as to how to paint a Death Army. Even if you don't want to follow their color schemes, you can just swap out your colors and do the same techniques.
Exactly.
Really well done. Really well executed.
Yeah.
Good job, GW.
Oh,
You're recognizing your own failure. And, yeah, God. I'm right on the verge of canceling Warhammer TV, Plus, because I'm shocked at how bad it's gotten.
it's rough. It's rough right now.
Yeah.
There's still some good shows on there, but the thing is, once you watch them, you've watched them. Right?
Yeah, and it's done.
They're not really go back and watch kind of shows. Oh, three other ones I have to say about new sculpts: Royal Decapitator, Abhorrent Cardinal, and Grand Justice Gormain. My favorite model out of the new set, next to Usheron.
Wow.
Because he's a judge.
That's true. Oh, duh. Okay. Wow. How did I not see that coming?
Right? I'm just going to throw my spicy take out right now. If you're going to be playing this army and you want to do well with this army, I can almost guarantee you that your warlord is going to be the Marrow Scroll Herald. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, spicy take, right?
I'm only going to play Gristlegore, so I don't care.
Monster Mash. But what they did is so cool. Like, I mean, it may not be competitive if that's what your mindset is, right? But they still kept everything that you might need or might want to play a Monster Mash list.
Yes.
They have mount traits, they have artifacts, they have command traits, they have everything that still lets you play Gristlegore, right? In the Monster Mash setting, right?
Yes.
It's all still there. They didn't take that away from you because it wasn't optimal, you know? So you still have the full ability to do the things that you love to do. And that's one of the great benefits of this book is however you want to play this army, even though we split amongst four, right? However you want to play this army, you can play.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep.
It's not like you're like, well, I probably should take just a bunch of Fusiliers.
Yeah.
Like the Cities of Sigmar book wants you
Yeah.
to do, right? No, this book is very much, do you like just ghoul spam? Mm-hmm. Well, Morgaunt's there.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of your knights and, trying to charge in and just do insane damage? Yep. You've got Hollowmorn. Did you love the blister skin aspect of, having flayers as your battle lines and with the flexibility to do priests as, abhorrence as priests?
Boy,
Yeah,
I tell you
it's there.
what, that's so hot.
That one, I got to say, I was a little disappointed with blister skin.
Really?
So just to sort of jump the gun on things, just to talk about the Grand Courts. So Morgaunt, we have to talk about the rules. Sorry, we're not going to jump the gun that far.
Don't jump the gun. Yeah, let's start with the battle traits.
Yeah, so run through it real quick. You got your Grand Courts. I just said Morgaunt, Hollowmorn, Blisterskin, Gristlegore. Everything's got a 6-up ward because that's just your Deathless Courtiers.
Yeah.
Then you have your Noble Deed points, which are that in like Feeding Frenzy are your like two most important rules. And all the summoning has completely changed, so you don't need to keep another 500, 750 points worth of models with you at all time.
Thank you.
Thank goodness. So Noble Deed points, those are gained by Flesh Eater Court's heroes. They are gained when they either do a wound to an enemy unit or when they chant a prayer or cast a spell. And so it's one per, right? So one per spell, one per wound, and one per prayer.
Yeah.
You can have a maximum of 6. You can never go above 6. And these are used as a resource to spend. The primary thing they do is the Feeding Frenzy, which is when you have 6 on a hero, and this includes both Abhorrence and Courtiers. You had one of the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Flesh Eater Courts units while they're wholly within 12 of the hero that has the 6 Noble Deed points. This is not the only way you can get Noble Deed points.
Right.
There are some things throughout that you can get. But other than building up Feeding Frenzy, well, what can you do? Well, it depends. Are you an Aberrant or are you a Courtier?
Yeah.
Because if you are a Courtier, you remember they used to just roll dice and add models back to units?
Yeah.
Well, now you spend your Noble Deed points
Thank you.
to do it. It's 1 point for every Serf and 2 points for every Knights. Don't think that's hard and fast because there is a stupid good command ability.
Yes.
And then they come back at the end of the movement phase, right?
And that's a brilliant way of balancing them out with everybody else's healing mechanic where it's 3 or 6.
Yeah.
You have the exact same thing, except you have options.
Yeah.
And I love that. I'm going to bring back a Knight and 2 Serfs. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Drop your die by 4. All right, thanks.
Yep.
Now you don't have that aura, but you'll get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just neat little mechanics, super easy. Obviously, it's based. You're just going to have your Flesh Eater Court TM dice next to your heroes, and you're going to be just up and down in those things. So much easier than like the Maggotkin poison.
Oh.
That ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good little ability. But hey, what about summoning?
What do abhorrents do?
They summon loyal subjects, and this I think is better than what they had before. Because before, abhorrents all had a once per game. You can spend a command point to summon a unit of serfs or knights or a courtier, depending on what model you were, of a particular size, right? What it does now is you can drop all 6 of your noble deed points to return a destroyed unit to the battlefield at half strength. They come in 6 inches from the board edge, more than 9 inches away from any enemy units. But the models that aren't there anymore, so like let's say you had 20 ghouls, 10 come back, those 10 count as slain, which means that yes, you can muster guard with the courtier to return them. You can rally them back. Oh, God. Now, you can only return a unit once per game. Otherwise, it would be broke.
That would be broken, but this isn't a once per game ability.
Yeah.
So as your units die, just for each of your units, think of them as having 2 lives.
Yes.
Because chances are you'll be bringing them back at least once. Well, once.
Yeah. You'll be bringing it once, and there's some powerful units in here to bring back. It's ridiculous what you're actually capable of doing. And it is rounded up, by the way, so if you're like, well, I have 3 models, so I only get 1, or do I need to cut 1 in half? No, you get 2.
Come on.
So yeah, that's super powerful.
And it can be a game changer on turn 4.
Oh, my God.
It can really change the ownership of objectives and this can really be the thing that pulls your bacon out of the fire.
Especially when we talk about the abhorrent archregent and his ridiculous spell.
I still love that guy the mostest.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Yeah, and he also, we'll get to him in a minute.
Yep.
But then you have your Courts of Delusion, right? This is a super powerful, flexible rule here. You're usually going to only pick one of 2 of them, unless you have Usher on there and you need something niche, right?
Yeah.
So first battle round, after the players have received their starting command and points, but before the start of the first turn. You see that? Everything's deployed. You know exactly how everything's set up, right?
Yes.
You get to pick one of 5 buffs, essentially. I think the 2 most important ones are Crusading Army and Feast Day. Crusading Army gives you +1 to run and charge rolls, board wide.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And Feast Day, Feeding Frenzy triggers on 4 Noble Deed points instead of 6.
Okay, that is redonkulous right there. That is so stupid. I love it.
The other ones, again, I said are very niche, right? So the Royal Hunt, it's add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Flesh Eater Courts against monsters.
You take that when you're up against giants.
Yep, yep.
Just saying.
Defenders of the Realm, you add 1 to save rolls while you are contesting an objective that you control. So you control an objective, you can sit there and tank a little bit more. Your saves aren't that good, so it depends on what's sitting on there. I think the best save in this is a 4-up.
Yeah, and it depends on the scenario, too.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be defending a lot of objectives, it's worth thinking about.
Potentially, yeah. And Grand Tournament is add 1 to hit rolls for friendly Flesh Eater Courts heroes that are not the general if they made a charge. So that one's a little,
I don't know why you would ever.
No.
Not when there's the other ones to pick from.
No. I mean,
I can't think of a use case at the beginning of the game where you're going to be like, that is winning me the game.
Yeah.
That one right there.
That one right there. I'll get that +1 to hit when I charge, and I'll win the game.
Not when you can look at Feast Day and go, geez, on a 4-up, I get extra attacks? Okay, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Not on a 4-up, but on 4 points.
4+ points, yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking that, thank you, because that still allows me to heal 2
Yeah.
to bring back a knight or 2 serfs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Now, you do have heroic actions and some monstrous rampages. They don't really figure into like the Path to Glory stuff, but just really briefly hitting them. Rousing Oration, you're going to use every turn you can. You pick 1 Flesh Eater Court hero. You roll a die for each friendly Flesh Eater Court unit. Wholly within 12, and each 5+, you get a Noble Deed point.
Bingo.
See? More ways to get Noble Deed points. You're racing to 6 every day.
Yep.
Right? Scent of Blood. This one I think needs an FAQ on it because there's a rider in there that I think makes it not work at a certain point.
Yeah.
So Flesh Eater Court hero, roll a dice on a 3-up. You can make a move of D6 inches with that hero. That sounds good.
Yeah.
But it must finish more than 3 inches from all enemy units. Okay. And closer to an enemy unit that has any wounds allocated to it. So I think how it reads presently is that there needs to be an enemy unit with wounds allocated to it for it to trigger.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
You can't use it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess you could trigger it and not move. But anyway.
Yeah. It's why is that sentence there?
Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to say is these guys are going to break away from the pack and go after a hurt unit.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Way easier ways to say that.
Yeah. How I would write
easier.
this is more than 3 inches from all enemy units, period. If there is an enemy unit that has any wounds allocated to it, this unit must end its move closer to that unit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Unambiguous. Because the way it reads right now, if there's not a wounded unit, you don't do that. You can't. So, okay, whatever.
Not at all.
If that's intended, that's dumb.
Rampages, Delectable Appetizers is like a worse stomp that can kind of heal you.
A far worse stomp. That one's a loser. Blood Curdling Shriek, pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of the unit, roll a die. On a 3-up, subtract 2 from the bravery characteristic of that enemy till the end of this turn. Super, super niche, but when you are trying to do morale bombs, super helpful.
Yeah, it figures in, I think, primarily with, one, always if you can drop, someone's bravery, awesome.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. And, ally that monster into a Nighthound army, and all of a sudden that's impactful.
Yeah, so the uses for that, just because I know we're not going to go every single unit, right? But the Terrorgeist Shriek, the roar does damage based off bravery. It's the old school thing. Frankly, the Terrorgeist did not change except for getting 2 wounds on each of its war scrolls. Same thing with the Zombie Dragon. Their spell changed on both. But then the Meryl Scroll Herald, whether or not you take his infected bone.
Yeah.
It rolls against bravery depending on the option you picked.
You just made that dirty.
Did I, or did I just say exactly what it says on the war scroll?
All right, technically, yes. Whether or not you take his bone.
Look. At the end of the charge phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit and say that it will offer it an infected bone. If you do so, your opponent must choose whether that enemy unit accepts or refuses the bone.
But it doesn't say take the bone. Okay, anyway, let's move on. That's too fun.
Okay.
All
right.
Yay, command traits.
Yeah. One other thing, Usharon has every unit within 3 inches of him.
Yeah.
One, he can reduce 1 unit's bravery permanently.
Yes.
For the rest of the game by 1. And then he can make things strike last. So that's really where the bravery factors in.
Yep.
Command traits. Yeah, they're there, aren't they? Okay.
Yeah, there's abhorrence and there's nobility ones for courtiers and abhorrence. Then there's artifacts. Did any of the artifacts stand out to you?
There are use cases, I think, for almost everything. Abhorrence, if you're running Gristlegore, you might try to do Master of Menagerie where you can resummon, under the command traits, you can resummon a monster with like 6 wounds on it, or 6 wounds allocated to it. Yeah. Which is cool. Shadowy Obfuscation, if you want your Ghoul King on Terrorgeist to be invisible when they're more than 12 inches away.
To me, that is the big one right there. If you're going to do Gristlegore, you're probably going to do that just to make sure you don't get shot off the board turn 1.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. Fever Scholar, add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding. If you have 6 noble deed points, add 2. Yeah. There's a real good use case for that one.
Yes, there is.
Courtier, I just have to call out the Cruel Taskmaster. This is going to be, like I said, but it's going to be the competitive one. Yeah. If the general uses the Muster Guard ability to return models to a unit, reduce the noble deed cost of each return model by 1. Or if the cost is already 1, you can bring back 1 additional model. So you get 2 serfs for the price of 1, and you get a knight for 1.
And you get a knight for 1 point. That's just
spicy.
Wow. Okay.
Royal Treasury for the Abhorrence. Grim Garland, if you're trying to jack with bravery more, is decent.
And that's a 9-inch bubble, so that's nice.
That's pretty slick.
Subtract 2 from the bravery characteristic of enemy units while they're within 9 inches of the bearer. It doesn't say wholly within.
Yep.
So,
and 9 inches is good range when you're a combat-oriented army.
Yeah, it's pretty damn. That's tight.
The Blood River Chalice is like it's any hero phase, which is why it's okay. It's only once per game, but it's 2d3 heal. right?
Yeah, it's the old blood chalice. So, except to me, better.
Yeah, I think so. Heart of the Gargan is where you can just jack up your attacks by 1 for your melee weapons for the bearer and the mount. Noble Heirlooms, the one that stands out for me, well, there's 2, but the main one is Charnel Vestments. You get the priest keyword.
Yeah, you just become a priest. Thank you.
Right? And then Flayed Pennant, you reroll charge rolls for friendly Flesh Eater Courts Holy Within 12. That's a solid one as well.
Yep.
Lore of Madness. I'm just going to echo what everyone else has been saying on the internet about this. Forget 2 of them and just look at the Deranged Transformation.
That's it.
That's the only one that matters.
Yep.
There are some good spells on the War Scrolls themselves.
Right.
So,
yeah. So this one's not going to really hurt you too much that you only have 1 to pick from.
yeah. And this is ridiculous. Casting value of 6, range of 24. Pick a friendly Flesh Eater Courts Holy Within range invisible that has a wounds characteristic of 7 or less. So your next movement phase, add 2 to their movement and 1 to their wound rolls. Holy crap.
Wait, both?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. If the casting roll was 10 or more, you can pick 3 different friendly units instead of 1. There is no reason to look at the other 2 spells.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, Miasmal Shroud's a minigame. I don't like reading it.
Nope.
I've read it multiple times and I hate it.
dumb.
And Crimson Victuals has too many if this and this
and that. Yeah, no, there's 1 spell.
Yeah.
But like you said, on the War Scrolls, there's good spells.
Yeah.
So the Priest, which is kind of different and new for this book.
I know, a Death Priest and Bill, I think all 3 of these are good.
I have a hard time picking one that is like, oh, that's what you do. So first up, you have Bless This Meal. Bless This Meal is a prayer, has an answer value of 3, 50-50, and a range of 18 inches. If answered, pick 1 enemy unit within range that is visible to the chanter. Each time a model from that enemy unit is slain, heal 1 wound allocated to a friendly Flesh Eater Court unit within 6 inches of that enemy unit. Oh my God. You want to talk about horde screen busters, horde busters that just make you better? Thank you. I'm taking that freaking prayer every day.
Yeah, the 6 inches is such an important part because you don't have to be in combat.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, we pulled out of combat with your Terrorgeist, but then you've got your Knights that are fighting, but your Terrorgeist is still within 6 inches, right? Boom, boom. You're killing models, healing back the Terrorgeist. That way he keeps topped off, right?
Beautiful.
Summer King's Favor, value of 3, range of 18. Pick 1 friendly Flesh Eater Courts hero wholly within range. Until your next hero phase, they gain an additional noble deed point each time they slay an enemy model, right? So you get 1 for every wound. Now this one, you get an additional 1 for killing a model, right? So, you know, with the Vargulf Courtier, his job now is to kill screens.
Yeah.
That's all that he does.
Yes.
He charges in, he shreds a screen. You know, this will make it so he hits 6, right? If he's lucky enough to still be in combat at the end of the thrashing and bashing that he does, he can then retreat. So he is just essentially a noble deed carrier, right? And this is one of those ones that, just in case, let me make sure, it could be overkill, but it can definitely help out.
Oh, big time. And using him as a noble deed battery makes it to where that bubble just is almost always going to be where you need it.
Yeah.
So, too much fun. Last up is Charnel Conviction, prayer that has an answer value of 3, range of 18 again. Wow. If answered, pick 1 friendly Flesh Eater Court unit wholly within range, visible to the chanter. Unit has a 5-up ward until your next hero phase. Don't fear the double turn.
No.
Embrace the double turn with a 5-up ward. Thank you.
Yeah, that one it used to be a spell, right? And it was a spell on the Terrorgeist. Go King on Terrorgeist. This is better. You can't stop it.
Way better. And now, because you have the ability, if you do want to throw that priest keyword on something, it does take your command allocation, but it's super fun to have that available.
Yeah, I think for me the wombo combo is put that artifact on the Marrow Scroll Herald, give him Cruel Taskmaster, and we'll get to the Herald in a second. He's one of the ones I actually want to talk about.
Okay.
Mount traits are okay.
Yeah, they're there. And Terrorgeist traits are okay. They're there.
Yeah, the one for there is add 1 of the attack characteristic of the unit's Fang Ma, which, again, I said the Gold King on Terrorgeist did not change, so the Fang Ma still, if you roll a 6, it's 6 mortals.
Yeah.
And his spell, which, again, I guess it's just a Flesh Eater Courts thing, which is breaks the rules of the game.
Yeah.
You can fully reroll the Fang Ma attacks, which you don't have in any other army anymore, right?
No.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if the Royal Zombie Dragon's even worth it. I mean, in a Gristlegore list, this is the only time I think you take it, because it has a +1 hit aura for your monsters.
Yep.
Grand Courts. I'll start with Morgaunt.
Okay.
Morgaunt, it's the Morgaunt Kingdoms. You give 1 noble deed point to each friendly Morgaunt Flesh Eater Courts hero at the end of the turn if that hero is contesting an objective.
Free points.
Free noble deed points.
Gotta love them.
Right?
So moving on to Hollowmorn. Theirs is Grizzly Cavaliers. Add 1 to the damage characteristics of melee weapons used by friendly Hollowmorn Knights. Units that have made a charge in the same turn. This ability has no effect on mounts. Okay, so you're just doubling down on what you do anyway. It's
Interestingly enough, adding 1 to the damage characteristic is super powerful.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm going to say right now, I think Hollowmorn's going to be the most popular.
Yeah.
And then here's my hot take. I think Morgaunt's going to be the most competitive.
Yeah.
Blister Skin. Oh, I'm glad I get to talk about this one because I have so many qualms with it. It's Pious Nobility, friendly abhorrence, gain the priest keyword, but they cannot cast spells and chant prayers in the same hero phase. So you get the priest ability, but, big but, you have to pick. Am I a wizard or am I a priest right now?
Exactly.
Why do I think that this was not good?
Why do you think that's not good?
Because I think courtiers should be able to become priests based off of this.
Yeah.
I think that would have been, if it said friendly courtiers gain the priest keyword, it would have been amazing.
Yes.
Right? Because you're gonna always have abhorrence because you need them for spells and all that kind of stuff because courtiers don't have spells. But then it gives the courtiers something to do instead of sinking it into just charnel vestments that can go with any other grand court.
Sure.
Then Blister Skin would then take the flayed pennant?
Yeah.
They're doing the reroll charge rolls, and you have old Blister Skin, right?
Yeah.
So you get back into that same flavor with the religious zeal added to it. So I think that was a major miss, but maybe it would have been too powerful. Maybe.
I don't know. I don't see that I think it would have just made them like the old.
Yeah.
And I don't think the old ones were all that overpowered. So anyway.
And then your favorite, Bill?
Yeah, Gristlegore, only because, I like the dragons.
Yep.
So their ability is Savage Strike. At the end of your combat phase, you can pick 1 friendly Gristlegore monster on the battlefield. The strike first applies to that monster until the end of the phase. Wowza. That's good.
Yeah.
That is really good. And it doesn't seem like it might be, but when you think about if you're playing Gristlegore, your monsters are going to have to hunt the other monsters.
Yeah.
Or if you have to shred screens, it's really important that you do that.
Yeah.
And get rid of them before they can do any marginal damage to you. So
yeah, it feels like that case where, you've got you probably take 2 Ghoul Kings on, Terrorgeist.
Yeah.
Well, there will be 1 on Terrorgeist for sure.
Sure.
And then whether or not you take the Zombie Dragon or Terrorgeist on the other one, right? But this gets you could charge both in, right? And then both of them are going to fight before your enemy goes, right?
It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing. And those are the courts. My hot take is really that Morgaunt's going to be the most competitive one. I think it's going to be bodies on objectives because at the end of the day, you win this game by standing on circles. And you can get insane amounts of bodies on circles, right? With courtier backup, healing them. And you're going to want them to be refilling their noble deed points for free.
Yes.
Right? And so, we're contesting objectives. I've got 60 ghouls standing in front of me and, between me and that Gargant, and there's no way he's going to eat through them all because I just keep putting them back, right? And you're going to just keep outperforming.
Yep.
The Hollowmorn is insane damage. That's where a lot of people are going to go, particularly Usharon is faction locked there.
Yes.
As well as Grand Justice Gormain, which are 2 amazing models at their rules. Now I'm going to flip to that Merrill Scroll Herald. Because I just want to say the most important rule that he has. I mean, he's got his infected bone. Whether you accept or refuse the bone is up to you. But anyway,
taking the bone.
Don't shoot the messenger. This unit is not visible to enemy models while it is wholly within 6 inches of 5 or more friendly Flesh Eater Court models.
Oh, he hides.
Yeah.
He's such a stinker. He hides.
Still susceptible to croak bombs, that kind of thing.
Right. But
anything that's not like, here's my AoE magic BS that, for some reason breaks the game and no one said anything about it.
And no one cares, yeah.
Yeah. He'll, I think he's the popular one. I mean, he can become a priest.
Yep.
And he can be the cruel taskmaster. He will be, with those blocks of ghouls and crypt guard, which, by the way, crypt guard are really good too. At least one unit. Yeah, low-hanging fruits, Hollowmorn. I think big brain plays are going to be Morgaunt. And then
I think the real competitive players can be Crystal Core.
oh, yeah.
Anyway.
I think Crystal Core is going to be the most fun.
That's what I think is.
Yeah.
I think for purely narrative fun, it's going to be hard to get a Path to Glory rolling on Gristle Gore, but once you do, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, let's take a quick break and jump into the Path to Glory.
Sounds good.
Okay, Path to Glory for the Flesh Eater Courts. I could sum it up in one sentence. They mailed it in.
Yeah.
It's not horrid, but when you look at the amount of work that was put into the lore section of this book and the amount of tweaking that went into all these war scrolls to make an army that has a very set number of units play completely differently in 4 different ways of building an army, to have this be the Path to Glory just really rankles me. So in the Path to Glory, your main thing, your main shtick is the intrigues of the court. During the Path to Glory campaign, each friendly hero on your order of battle has a standing within the court, which is either in favor or out of favor. If you happen to be from a mafia family, please don't take offense to this.
Yes.
Okay. If you've watched The Godfather, please don't think that they just ripped this completely off from that. Anyway, if you watch Goodfellas, if you watch Casino, this is so sad. Keep track of your hero's current standing in the notes section of your order of battle. When a hero is first added to your order of battle, their standing is out of favor, with the exception of your warlord, who begins in favor. Okay, in step 7 of the Aftermath sequence, update the current standing of each hero in your order of battle as follows. If the hero was not in the battle, they're out of favor. If the hero took part in the battle and gained any renown points, they are now in favor. Yay. If that hero took part in the battle, and had 6 noble deed points at any time during the game, they're now in favor. If none of the above, they're out of favor. If none of the above, if none of that applies, they go neutral, or they are unchanged. So, at the start of each Path to Glory battle, roll 2 dice for each friendly hero that is currently in favor. For each 4 up, give them 1 noble deed point. So, the random becomes the random, becomes the random. Stupid.
Yeah, like all that work, it's a lot of sort of bookkeeping.
Yeah.
For each hero, you need to be doing all the, you're already tracking their noble deed points every turn.
Sure.
Or every game. And then to sit there and have to be like, okay, well, he was out of favor first, but he got the 6. Okay, so he's in favor now, right? And you're just going back and forth trying to do all this stuff, all for the benefit of maybe having you have a 50% chance of getting a noble deed point at the start of the game.
Yeah,
which is good, but it's roll 2 dice.
Yeah,
right. So odds are you get 1.
Yeah, it's
a coin flip,
a letdown.
Yeah,
there's zero flavor to it. When you compare this to any of the ones that have a really fun, impactful, but bookkeeping system going on, I'm looking at you. What's his name's? Little dwarves with guns. Yeah. Why am I going to do all this bookkeeping? I'm going to ignore the shit out of this. The chance of getting 2 points or, 1 point, like you said. And then their next shtick, you want to cover their growing delusion?
Yeah. So this is, they tried to catch some of the flavor, right? You hear growing delusion, you're like, okay, finally, it's not this, does the king like me or not? BS, Now I got to get into something that's cool. Oh, wait a second.
What?
It actually depends on your opponents.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets a little weird. So at the start of step 2 of the Aftermath sequence, roll a dice for each territory that your opponent controls to see if the aberrant curse has spread to any inhabitants of that territory. For each 6, you can choose 1 serf's unit in your army that had any model slain or was destroyed during the battle. You do not have to make a casualty roll for that unit, as newly infected replacements flood from your opponent's territory to fill their ranks. In addition, during step 7 of the Aftermath sequence, each time you add a new unit to your order of battles, you may subtract 1 from the glory points cost of adding a new unit if you summoned a unit of that type during the battle and the summoned unit was still on the battlefield at the end of the battle. Ugh.
If. Why? Literally, you could have. with 30 minutes of thought and reading the first part of this book, you could have done so much more.
Yeah.
Instead, you fell back on this Goodfellas bull crap and said, well, you're either in or you're out with the Godfather. And if you're in, you get some, you might get some stuff. If you're out, you don't get no stuff. I'm serious. Like, don't forget the cannolis. It's piss poor.
And then the growing delusion aspect, they might as well have not written that, right?
No.
Like, why is that there? It only benefits serfs. Are you kidding me? Like, if it was like on a 3+, right? You can do this for a serfs unit, but on a 6, you can do it for a knights unit.
Sure.
Right?
That'd be
even
big.
That would be different. Like, that would be better. No, it's locked to serfs, right?
What if I'm playing the Stormcast unit, a Stormcast army? You're telling me that I'm gonna be reaping Stormcast areas? Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
I just, it's such obviously it was an afterthought for the book. The book itself is really good. I don't want to make the Path to Glory sound so bad, but we were so looking forward to this one because narrative-wise, lore-wise, they had volumes of stuff to work with, and what we get is some Goodfellas crap. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a letdown. The veteran abilities are pretty much what you would expect.
Yeah.
They do what they do, and they do what they do for who they do.
Yeah.
Like everybody else.
I think the major call out for me is going to be muster reinforcements. This is a throwback to the old courtier ability. So you can use veteran ability once per battle in your hero phase. If you do so, you roll 3 dice. If this unit is a serf, for each 2+, you can return a slain model. If it's a knight, each 5+, you can return a slain model. That's the old courtier rule for the most part. It was usually like 6 dice, but just to have that on a unit, it just gives you that old school Flesh Eater Courts flair.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of par for the course with everything they've done before.
Yeah, one of the nice things they do is they make the veteran abilities fun, but not game breaking. Most of them are once per game, and they give you something to look forward to. So I always read the veteran abilities in A Path to Glory with a grain of salt because you don't expect them to be game changers.
Yeah.
In some, for the, what's his name? I believe it was the Fire Slayers. They are game changers.
Yeah.
But that's because of the way that army works.
Yeah.
And that's, it really played into how their strengths are set up. So it made sense for them to be bonkers. But for just about everybody else, this is a standard good set of veteran abilities that are fun.
Yeah. You have some stuff that you're going to go for. I mean, Hungry for Flesh, exploding hits, great.
Yeah.
I think ghouls are going to be real good in this edition.
Oh, yeah.
Or I should say in this book. There's some crazy stuff that they can do. But I mean, like, you don't want them to explode their hits, for example, right? So you'd probably want to try and keep them around longer.
Yeah.
So you might give them the Gaze of Usharon or something. So there's something for everyone here, for all the units you're going to be playing. But it's, again, this was their chance to, like, go all out.
Yeah.
And unless they're going to bring in, like, some super sexy Dawnbringers, we revamp the Flesh Eater Courts.
a la Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah. I am disappointed.
Yeah. Big time. Their territories are...
Okay.
You want to cover the first one, that way you can have the last one, too.
Okay.
All right.
Pit of Bones. Step 3 of the Aftermath sequence, you can pick one unit on your order of battle that took part in the battle and roll a dice. On a 4+, they gain a renown unit or renown point. If you upgrade it for 5 points, you can pick 2.
Wow. Yeah. Game breaker right there.
Once
I get that, pretty much campaign's over.
It is.
All right. So on a 63 or 64, you get a Charnel Den. Never have more than one of it. Step 7 of the Aftermath sequence. You can pick one unit to benefit from this territory. If that unit took part in the battle, reduce its casualty score by D3. If it did not take part in the battle, reduce its casualty score by D6, which should be a D3 plus 3.
Yeah.
But anyway, and if you upgrade it for 10, it's Plentiful Feast, and you can pick 2 units instead of 1. Hate it when a territory is reduced down to a die roll like that, but still, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But it's kind of lame because you could roll 1s.
Yes.
And you could quite literally sit a unit out to try to max out with the 6 and roll a 1 and have lost a unit for a game for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Dumb.
It's you will lose models. You are going to lose units. So you're kind of glass cannony in this sense, right? There's some staying power with some units, but it's a utility territory that, like, it shouldn't be a 63 to 64. It should be like Pit of Bones should be a 61. Charnel Den should be a 62. And we should get like, I don't know, 3 others after that before we get Dragon Graveyard, which is, it has 65 to 66, no effect until upgraded, 15 GP, so it's cheap to upgrade, right? Increase your monster limit by 4. So this is your Gristlegore. You're hunting for this one.
Right.
In addition, you can pick 1 mount trait from the Flesh Eater Court's mount trait tables and add it to your vault, and then give it to 1 monster on your order of battle that it does not already have one. If that monster is removed from your order of battle, then remove the mount trait from your vault too.
Again, whoever worked in the territories hadn't worked on anything before.
Yeah.
So they didn't understand the prioritization. 66 should make you happy.
Yeah.
65 and 66 should be like, ooh, I'm getting something really good. Well, in this case, you get something really good if you're playing one faction that, generally speaking, is not going to be the most well-beloved.
Yeah. I think Gristlegore in a slow grow Path to Glory
It's going to
context
be so good.
it'd be so fun. I mean, could you imagine, like, you're sitting there, you've got your Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, your Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon, and like 6 other freaking dragons.
Yeah.
Like, all day.
All day long.
All day long. Now, I do want to give a shout out to the battle plan, just because the concept of it is very fun in Flesh Eater Courts. So essentially, you are fighting over 5 different objectives, which are literal body parts of a Gargant.
That's disgusting.
Right? And so you're actually trying to eat the lungs, intestines, brain, liver, and heart of a Gargant. It's called a Gargantuan bounty.
Yeah, I
right?
like that. That's cute.
Oh
my
so
God.
The Mega Gargant body parts, each one that you consume with a Flesh Eater Courts unit has a different effect, right? So intestines, you heal D3 plus 3 wounds allocated to that unit. Lungs, add 1 to run and charge rolls for the unit for the rest of the battle. Brain, add 1 to casting, unbinding, and chanting rolls.
Who knew?
Liver, add 1 to ward rolls.
Okay.
Holy cow. Heart, score 2 victory points instead of 1. And then you score 1 victory point for each body part that you consumed, right? Defender scores victory points at the end of each of their turns for essentially holding the objectives, right? So you're trying to stop the Flesh Eater Courts from eating the body parts. It's fun. It's really fun. There's some pretty good rewards out of it if you're doing the quest for the Flesh Eater Courts, because if you do, you get 10 glory points.
Yeah, it's big.
What?
And this is a hard scenario for the Flesh Eater Courts to win because your opponent is scoring every turn.
Yeah.
You only score these when you consume them.
Yeah.
So basically, by turn 2, you could be on the back foot if you haven't taken any of them.
Yep.
So, because they've already got 10 VP, and the max you can get is 10.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to work it. Yeah, you're on the attack.
Yeah.
The nice part is the deployment is really friendly to you.
Yeah.
So I like the way the deployment is. Basically, you have both short edges to deploy your units. Mm-hmm. The defender is stuck in the middle, and most of those objectives are exposed.
Yeah, so the heart's in the very center of the defender's territory. So
that's going to be the hard one.
Yeah.
Imagine, the other ones you're going to be able to pick off turn 1. You hope.
You hope. Yeah, because what it says is in order to eat it, right? At the end of each of the Flesh Eater Court's turns, they can choose to consume the body part associated with any of the objectives they control, right? So as soon as you get on top of it, at the end of your turn, you can consume it, right? Yep. And it's any of the objectives. So if you rush up, get all 4 of the lungs, intestines, brain, and liver, you can just eat them up right away, and then you've already scored 4 VP, right? They're starting at 1 with the heart, right?
Yeah.
So then it's just a scrum for the middle.
Yeah,
you know?
It really is a deep dive. But oh boy.
It's one of the few battle plans I've seen in a book in recent history which has like just flavor.
It is. It's
right?
fun. And it's going to be a fun game because balancing out what you need to do, and you might have to just settle on turn 1 for just contesting those 4 objectives to deny them the points.
Yeah.
And then look at which one you're going to make the big effort on each turn to consume and just try to stay ahead on points, but you have to maintain contesting all of them.
Yep.
Because if you don't, it could get away really, really fast.
Really fast.
So overall, it's a really good book.
Yep.
Like I said, the lore in this book is so... I very rarely read the lore word for word. I'll skim it.
Yeah.
This one was like every little snippet, every little section expanded on something that was super cool.
Yeah.
And to me, I have a lot of respect for the Carrion King now. I kind of thought it was going to be a joke. Not a
Yeah.
joke, but I kind of thought it was going to be just another Mortark.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be just another Mortark, and yet he's got a ton of flavor to him. And I love the idea that you can pick his backstory. You can, in your own mind's eye, is he saved by Nagash, or was he cursed by Nagash? And you can kind of use that to inform your narrative play.
Yeah.
And I love the way in the book they even talk about some of the courts are super pro Nagash.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, we have to stop that guy because he's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And through it all, they're just maintaining this delusion of knights in shining armor. And I just, so well done that it makes the timidity of the Path to Glory that much more stark.
Yeah.
In contrast to the rest of the book, a Path to Glory that I thought was going to just be off the hook.
Yep.
Turned out to be, wow. I just wow bad. But, oh well.
It's, as excited. I mean, I guess you can't hit it all out of the park, right? I mean, I think what's the joke? One blank war scroll in this whole book, which is the Crypt Gas Courtier, the little guy.
Yeah.
Right? You might as well not have printed that
Yeah.
war scroll, because if you wanted the effect he has, you take the Royal Decapitator for the same exact cost and have a chance to instantly murk someone.
Yeah.
Because he's got the whole, like, if you do any wounds to a hero on a 5-up, they're just slain.
Right.
Right? As a 100-point model, which is hilarious because he's just got a rusty axe when you need to have like a champion of corn to do the same thing.
I know.
It's awesome.
It's so nuts.
But it's overall, I mean, I am so happy with this book. I'm
Yeah.
so happy with the new models. I can't wait for Usharon. I said I wanted 3 of them. 1 to paint in my Candy King scheme.
Oh, yeah.
1 to paint in a traditional scheme. And then 1 to just play around with.
Yeah.
Maybe to put on top of my dragon. I'm not sure. Right? It's a beautiful book. The Path to Glory is trash.
Yep.
You know, like, I didn't like it the first time I read it. Now that we're talking about it out loud, they might as well not have printed it.
Yeah.
Just give me the old one, because I did more with that.
Yeah. It's, you could have leaned so hard into this spreading the dementia thing. And there are other Path to Glories out there that do permanent effect to other people's terrain.
Yeah.
This would have been the perfect book to jump into that train as well.
Yeah.
And it is the kind of the trademark of death to affect your enemy's terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And they sidestepped it hard.
Yeah, because you're not affecting their terrain. You're just
you're
not
just
having to do casualty rolls, I guess, maybe?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's a nice benefit. It's a good benefit, but there's no interaction. There's no give and take. There's no effect on the person you just played for them to want to do a rematch.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I need to cleanse this area now.
yeah.
So many options they could have gone into and didn't. And again, we were talking about this a little bit offline, but I can just imagine that the design team has probably spent the last 8 months. When you look at all the stuff that's come out between New 40K, the Epic, it's Epic, forget it. The Old World, all of these box games that are big, they are lines in and of themselves. This isn't, hey, we're putting out, the what's his name, Curse City, and we can put it out and forget about it. These are lines that are going to be going on for a while. That design team must be maxed out.
Yeah.
I understand why you might give it the short shrift, especially if you're going to change the way Path to Glory works in the next edition. Maybe there's no point in developing something really big when you're going to have a fundamental change. Okay,
True.
I get it. And at that point, I will retract my statement that this is really crap. But for right now, as it stands, this is really crap.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the next edition, we're going to have a big old book that's the core book. And then there's going to be a little book that says Path to Glory. And it's going to be everybody's Path to Glory. And it's going to be super fleshed out and really cool with a whole new system.
Wouldn't that be fantastic? Sort of similar to Crusade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done that before.
Holy cow.
I'm just saying.
Look, guys, we're not asking you to do something completely new or even reinvent the wheel. Just turn your head to the right.
Yeah.
And look at that game system that you developed.
Yeah.
Right? Just like...
And flesh it out,
Yeah.
I mean, because you could just take all of these Path to Glories, make whatever changes, skeleton wise, you have to for the new system, the new rules. And now we have a new fresh start to Path to Glory and narrative gaming that you've always said you're behind 100%, but you do one event a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So anyway, A+ book for as far as giving the Flesh Eater courts a chance to play.
Oh, yeah.
In any edition.
Yeah.
They're so good now and so flexible.
Yeah.
You can play the way you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Path to Glory, boo.
Boo.
D minus.
Yeah, if that. But yeah, it's wonderful. I can't wait for the lines to come out. I think if you pick it up and if you loved Flesh Eater courts before, you'll fall in love with them more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you're playing a Path to Glory, it kind of feels like just something you have to do as opposed to being something super fun. So, I mean, it's like it's less than even like Lumineth God.
Yeah. I would house rule it to be just pick 2 of your heroes and roll 2 dice for them.
Yeah.
No need to do all that bookkeeping bull poop.
Yeah, I mean, I think there needs to be a full rewrite of that whole section.
Yeah.
And except for the veteran abilities, they're pretty stock standard, and then there needs to be more territories. But again, it could be we're really going to do a change to Path to Glory in the next edition, because from last edition to this one, Path to Glory fundamentally changed.
Yeah, big time. And here's the perfect chance to do it again.
Yep.
Give us a book with all the Path to Glories in it, and then you can update one main document, and everybody gets to have fun.
Yeah.
So,
well, that was one of the great things about like what they did with 40K Crusade, right? Is that is pretty much just a universal rule set for Crusade, and then sometimes you got additional stuff for your chapter or faction.
For the individuals, yeah.
And hopefully they do that here. But love the book. I'm hungry for more, and I feel like I'm falling into the delusion again, Bill.
I think so. One of the crazy things about this book is if you flip it front to back, the very front of the book is, of course, a image of, the Ghoul King.
That's the Gore Warden right there.
Yeah, the Gore Warden.
Yeah.
You flip it over and, well, who is that?
That's the Gore Warden as he sees himself.
So just a cute little touch.
Yeah, this book out of the box, the army box, this is the special edition tome I want to see.
Yeah, it really is. It's nice.
I don't want them just to remove the red borders and, kind of spice it up. Like, this is gorgeous.
Yep.
It's even got a theme on there. Like I said, Gore Warden flip to the back. He's how he sees himself versus how he is,
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yep. So again, the next time you hear from us, it's going to be variable.
Yeah.
Going to turn off the Patreon collections until we start getting more regular. But honestly, with the paucity of content coming out for AOS as we ramp up to what is probably an edition change, there's just too much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you will hear from us, but it'll be sparse. And then, hey, who knows what we'll be developing in the meantime. So just hang with us, folks, and we'll see you soon.
The music in the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and is used under the Creative Commons license. The Rolling Bad podcast itself is protected under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. Information for this license can be found at creativecommons.org.